To everyone who said, it already looks great, leave it like it is, don't add anything else to it, thank you, that's so kind of you, but also, no. I promised myself that I would get another chunk of work done on this while on my holiday January break. And we are now over halfway through January, so I better get started, because who knows how long this chunk will take. I have decided to break it up more though. I think the last time I was working on this, I was like, well, the rest of it is gonna have to like all be one video. It's all one chunk. I have created more chunks. Creating chunks does not sound like something you want to do generally. So in the process of working on this very large project, if this is the first time you're seeing it, it is what I'm now calling the mosaic dress. It originally started out as a stained glass inspired dress, but everyone said it looks more like mosaic than stained glass, so fine, whatever, it's the mosaic dress. It is jungle themed, and the goal is to cover this entire giant circle skirt in tiles the same way that the top is covered in felt tiles. And what I quickly realized while working on this is that I need to break it up into sections. If I tried to just start this and work on it until I was done with it, I would hate this project so much. It's not worth it. I want to love this project, so I've been breaking it up into chunks and doing it over, it's already been more than a year. So I was thinking, how can I break up the rest of this giant skirt? Because it's still a lot of territory to cover. And my only thought was I could do like the flowers first and then the leaves separate. But a bunch of people were like, yo, what about other animals? The big thing that was immediately suggested was frogs, because jungle and frogs. And I was like, how could I not put frogs on here? You're so right. It absolutely needs frogs. And then an idea that I already had was putting like a jaguar or a leopard face. Which one lives in jungles? Possibly both. People suggested chameleons, which would be really cool to do, possibly a little big and a little complicated, so I'm not sure about that yet. Someone suggested a snake, which I think would be amazing. I definitely want to try to get a snake in here. And then somebody also suggested doing like a lemur or a monkey tail. So again, I don't have to do the whole animal, but if there's like leaves and you just see like the tail of the lemur coming out. I think lemurs would be the most interesting because they have the fun, long ring-tailed tails. That's gonna be this chunk, animals. And I do think it's going to cover quite a bit of, well, square footage is a bit too big of a term. Quite a bit of square inchage. And I think we should just dive straight into it. Rather than planning out all of the animals ahead of time and like mapping them out, which might be the smarter thing to do, but we can't always be smart. I think I'm gonna do these one at a time, starting with the leopard jaguar face. Yes. I had to think about that quite a bit, but yes. Before we dive headfirst into a pile of felt and fringe knots though, let's take a brief moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Nolah mattress. You know what's incredibly important to upkeeping long-term projects? Rest. Not just taking a few weeks or a few months off from the project altogether, but also getting a good night's sleep between each day of working on it. I mean, let's be real, it's hard to enjoy your creativity time if you're tired and sore. It's hard to enjoy anything if you're tired and sore. Nolah is an award-winning mattress brand known for its cooling technology, exceptional pressure relief, and long-lasting durability. These were all super important points for me personally, so I chose Nolah's Evolution mattress for our bedroom. Matt is a warm sleeper, so we got the cooling pillow top that draws heat away from the body, but I have back issues that cause a lot of pain while and from sleeping, so that additional pressure relief on top of the high-density foam is so helpful. The Evolution even has different zones of foam designed to support the curves of your body when you're sleeping on your side. Nolah makes a variety of mattresses for all different body types, sleep positions, and budgets. Their mattresses are shipped right to your door for free, rolled up and ready to go onto your bed, with a 120-night sleep trial so you can make sure you love it before you fully commit. Their mattresses are designed and assembled in their Arizona factory with no fiberglass or harmful chemicals used. When you sleep on a truly supportive mattress for the first time, the difference is not only noticeable, it is incredibly impactful to your everyday life. After years of waking up with a sore back, still feeling tired, I so appreciate waking up feeling rejuvenated. It just makes such a huge difference to the entirety of my day. I love my Nolah mattress, and I think you would too. If you're looking for a new bed, head to nolahmattress.com/stitchery and use my code stitchery to get $50 off your mattress. This is an additional discount on top of what's being offered on site, so check them out while you can. After you check out, you can support my channel a little further by telling them that I sent you in the post-purchase survey. Thank you to Nolah Mattress for sponsoring today's video, and let's get to work on that Jaguar. My first step was to lay the skirt out on the ground so I can see exactly where my open spaces are, where a cat face could potentially fit, and how big it would need to be, or how small. I was immediately pulled into looking for other animal locations, which immediately got really overwhelming, so this is why I'm doing them one at a time. Focus fox, face only for now. From there, we moved to the computer for a while, cause I've gotta look up jungle cats, choose which type I'm intimating through felt tile. I was tempted by the ocelot, but I think I gotta stick with Jaguar, even if those spots are the ruin of me. I don't really know how I'm gonna do those. And then find a good face image that I can trace in Photoshop. Y'all, people have gotten some great facial expressions on Jaguars, but I'm gonna stick with a pretty basic look, none of these, hilarious ones. I start by just flushing out the outline so I can check if I like that. I don't want this turned ear, so I'm gonna wing it and make the left ear match the right. And then I go majorly off book to add the details. Creative license and all that, but also every Jaguar spots are different, so I can basically do whatever I want, right? Right. I need to keep in mind that this guy is gonna be partially covered by leaves though, so I went ahead and drew out some basic leaf shapes and printed a few pages to play around with. This is the part that is very futz around and find out, because we are figuring out both size and placement. And even when I have those two things where I want them, that's not at all taking into consideration the tile element of it all. I'm glad that I'm starting with the Jaguar because I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the hardest one of this set. I mean, maybe the snake, but the frog, even a chameleon, is gonna be way easier than this. I decided I'm gonna go ahead and do the leaves that are overlapping his face because otherwise, it would look really weird. But I'm not gonna bother with all of the other leaves because they'll be behind him. I'm gonna leave that for the leaf chunk. I might regret that because, you know, it'd be easier to do all of it now, but that's okay. So I'm giving myself pretty big pieces here compared to some of the stuff I've done already, and I really debated on the spots for a little bit. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut out the entire piece from the background color and then cut out the spots and sew them on top of the felt, like layer them up instead of actually cutting it all as separate pieces and having like the gap in between, because I realized the spots are gonna have to be black and the gaps in between, the background is black. So if I made this incredibly complicated piece with all of these spots inside of it, it would be so difficult and fiddly, and you wouldn't even be able to tell. It would just look like the spots were a little bit bigger because they would blend straight into the little gap around the spots. Yeah, this is making sense, right? So it's still gonna be a little fiddly, but like, way, way better. Time to see if I actually have Jaguar colors of felt. If I do too orange, it'll look like I tried to make a tiger, and that'll look weird. Also, sorry if you can hear a lot of birds in the background. The door is open and the birds are feasting. Okay, here we go again. I did one puzzle after getting back from vacation and before this. I was really tempted to do a second one because I've got some good ones right now. But I was like, no, we need to start this project. So the reward for finishing this chunk of the project is hardcore gonna be puzzles. The paper I don't think I'm gonna need as much anymore. I was hand drawing a lot of stuff at the beginning, but it is so much easier to draw it in Photoshop and print it out. And what I have figured out for the whole gap thing, is there a name for the line? The grout line? If I draw everything in Photoshop with my brush on like size 15 or 20 is better, then when I go to cut it out, I just cut that entire black line off, and that is the gap, you know? Because otherwise, as you separate all of your pieces to make that grout line gap, everything changes shape and size, and it gets really messy. As I have learned. Oh, there's needles everywhere. There are also like children screaming outside to accompany the birds. A little bit less pleasant. I need my Jaguar picture. Honestly, I could probably do a really dark brown for the spots. From a distance, it won't really stand out from the black, but close up, you do see a bit of difference, and I am trying to avoid stark black and stark white as much as possible. But do I have a super dark brown? That's pretty dark. When it comes to the colors, I end up staring at the photos for so long and going like, which one is just right? And I really have to remind myself, this is felt. There's very limited colors here. So like, I think I should do this color for the actual fur. Because honestly, the next best color would be this brown. And I don't think that would really read as Jaguar. I don't think this is gonna read as tiger though, because this is what you would expect for tiger. I think this is okay. Well, if you have seen the previous installments of these videos, then you know the drill now. Cut everything out of felt, sew it all on with French knots. Okay, I feel like I don't have as much to say anymore because it's all sort of the same process, and yet, obviously, I can still talk plenty about anything. But let's montage it. An issue that I ran into the last time, just a little bit, because there was only one beetle that I put on here that was like low down on the hem, is the hem. So I did like a wide hemline on this. I don't know if you can see that, but you know, it's like half a finger's length there, where it's double layered. The idea being that I can hide the knots and the thread and everything around that bit of a hem inside those two layers, so that, you know, when you like move around and stuff, you sometimes see the inside hem of a skirt. So the idea was that you'd be able to see less of the thread and stuff in that little section. I was hoping it would be kind of somewhat easy to sew tiles onto the front, because they should be going all the way down to the hemline on this entire skirt. And I was hoping that would be somewhat easy to go through that top layer and not the back layer. It was not. It was very persnickety and not at all fun. So a bunch of people in the comments last time were like, it'll save you time, you know, if you just unpick the entire hem and then at the very end, once the full skirt is covered in tiles, hand sew the hem back on. I know it's a long hem, but you were all entirely right. That would save me time in the long run. So, considering the Jaguar I want to be right down on the hemline, I think that's gonna be my next step, is unpicking the whole thing. Yay, let's do it. Ah, my tiles, no. Don't get messed up, please. This is a delicate dance here. Giant table, and it still never feels big enough when I'm doing this specific project. Took a break to make some muffins and do the dishes and go grocery shopping and eat lunch and cuddle the puppy, but now all of that is done, so we can start sewing this guy on. After I eat a muffin, I guess. My next debate was how to attach all of those spots. Should I do it with French knots, like I attach the tiles to the skirt, or use something like a whip stitch around the edges so that they look a little different? I was considering asking for opinions on Patreon, and then I realized I'd already kind of made the choice in my head, and I was just waffling on committing to the choice, so it's gonna be the whip stitch thing. Only guess what color of embroidery floss I'm completely out of? Yep. Dark brown. Nope. Didn't even have anything close in my backup storage of other floss types and brands, leading me to the question whether this color even exists, but it does. It's there in the little color book.
What you doing?
Being annoyed. With all the floss that I have, I don't have the single dark brown color that I need to match this felt. You wanna go to the store?
No, I'm gonna go work.
Yeah.
But you can leave this outside for days so it gets sun bleached and matches.
That's
things.
not the point.
Okay, well, I was giving you a fix.
So now, the debate. Should I just go to Michael's? The annoying thing is I'm already going to Remainders tonight, and I might be able to find it there, in their donation bins. And like, quite frankly...
So just wait.
Right. But I kind of need that color first. I can't really work on this if I don't have that color. And quite frankly, even if I go to Michael's, they might not have that color. Because you never know with them. I chose to wait and just find something else to do and go to Remainders since I was already going to Remainders, and then I completely forgot to check for floss while I was there. So I went to Michael's. And guess what color of floss they did not have? Dark brown. The only dark brown floss they had is this new kind from DMC. I've never seen this before. It's like a cotton tapestry thread. So it's pretty thick, like this would bring to mind a thin yarn in my head, but like we're gonna make it work because this color did not exist in 6-strand embroidery floss at Michael's right now. Also, y'all, the birds. The birds outside have been so lovely lately. I'm loving them so much. They have latched onto our fountain and they're always out there drinking and splashing around, and I finally found a good place to like point my camera. So I may have just filmed straight up 30 minutes of bird bath footage. You can have a little taste of it right now. But yeah, let me know if you want me to give you a 30-minute bird bath video, not here on the channel. Like, I'll throw it up over on Patreon or something and everyone can just go watch it for free there. It's genuinely so delightful to watch them splashing around. But okay, should we maybe finally do this? Maybe. I'm gonna need a bigger needle for this chunky ass thread. For the snoot of the Jaguar, I'm adding extra French knots in that chunky dark brown floss now that it's attached, because they have a lot of little dark spots around their noses. I wasn't entirely sure about this because I haven't done any excess embroidery on here up to this point, but then I was like, hey, this is your piece of artwork, you make the rules, do whatever you want, and I quite like it. And then guess who ran out of another necessary floss color? That's right, 'twas this gal. I gotta get it together on the thread colors, y'all. I went back to Michael's for 702, but I went to a different location this time, and oh look, they also had the regular dark brown color that I was originally seeking. Huzzah! All right, Jaguar is done. Ooh, it looks bright. Is it bright? No, okay, it's normal. It turned out so good. I was really nervous about this one. I don't know that it's more complicated than some of the birds that I've done, but it felt more complicated and I love how it looks. So now we move on and do basically the same thing, but with a different animal. Back to spreading this out on the floor to see where I have space. Woo! 'Tis time for the monkey butt. lemur butt, actually, because yeah, I'm gonna do a ring-tailed lemur, and then since it's hiding behind a leaf, we need one of those too. I found this incredible pink elephant ear plant to trace, which I'm super excited about because I don't think there's much pink on this skirt yet, if any. And doesn't that look so cool? I decided to go with a light gray and dark brown on the lemur tail rather than black and white. And I'm not sure how much it's reading lemur, despite the fact that I traced it off of an actual picture of a lemur. Fur is kind of hard to replicate, and the position is a little scorpion-like. I think in the grand scheme of things, once the whole skirt is covered, it's gonna look fine. Onward with a chameleon. I'm gonna go with a panther chameleon, I believe this is called, but I'm gonna be taking some very big liberties with coloring, because not only are these way too covered in little bits of color, but also I kind of want to put this guy in front of a flower, like maybe a red calla lily or something, and then have him changing colors. And then, you know, maybe also just use like a butt ton of other colors so that he's the most colorful guy ever, but that feels okay, because they are really dang colorful, y'all. Also, while cutting out the felt tiles for this one, disaster struck. Y'all, I'm cutting out the chameleon in felt. And I just coughed. Oh no! I didn't do any of these yet. Ah! I've even been keeping the door in here closed so that a drift of wind wouldn't come in and mess up my pieces. And then I freaking coughed on them. Why? No worries, I was able to find all of my tiny paper pieces and reconstruct the chameleon based on the photo I had took, which is why I take a photo of these guys at every single stage. And here he is in all his multicolored glory. And here he is stitched down, which I filmed none of, because y'all, it's not easy to film this particular type of stitching. There's always just skirt going everywhere. This is a great example of how stuff can change once I start sewing it on though. Here's the before, and here's the after. Can you spot the differences? Sometimes everything shifts and you just have to cut out a few new pieces so you don't go totally insane trying to make them all match up. Snakes, y'all! 'Tis time for snakes! And I pretty quickly found two colorful types, the rainbow boa and the emerald tree boa. Apparently though, the emerald tree boa is actually this gorgeous orange color when it's a baby. I was really going back and forth, not only on green versus orange, but also on what pose to do, because it's so cute how they curl up on the branches like this, and that would definitely be the easier choice. But also these sort of unfurled but twisted poses are so cool too. Ugh, I'm way too into these snakes. They all look so great for mosaic. After much debate, I decided to do the orange version in the cozy sleepy pose, and I'm gonna do him pretty big, just cause I wanna. We don't have much orange on this skirt yet. It was definitely the best choice. He looks so comfy, and I love how it balances out the orange butterfly that's on the other side. Last animal, frogs. I asked for frog suggestions on Patreon and got a whole bunch of fabulous ones, and here's the thing. These guys are tiny, and I'm really having trouble choosing, so I think I'm gonna do several. I mean, I did make the beetles on here fairly large, so I'm gonna do the frogs a little bigger than they would be in real life, but also I was able to narrow it down to the ones that are mainly one color, because they will be too small to figure out like an insane amount of spots or stripes or anything. I'm thinking red-eyed tree frog, because that feels like a must, golden poison dart frog, cause yay for a spot of yellow, strawberry poison dart frog, love the blue legs, pumpkin toadlet, possibly just for the adorable name, but also more orange, huzzah. And finally, a blue poison dart frog, cause blue. Is 5 frogs too many? Of course not. I decided to go ahead and put the strawberry frog on a banana leaf, cause even though it's persnickety right now, it'll be a whole lot more persnickety when I have to fit tiles around all of these other guys later. Also, it seemed fitting. And speaking of fitting, we're done with the animals! Y'all, that was really enjoyable. Like, working on this was really enjoyable, although about by the time I got to the frogs, my back was going, Another reason why I split this up into chunks and only work on it, you know, every 6 months or so. But seriously, I cannot, advocate for that enough. Like, if you start a long project that's slow and it's gonna take ages, you don't have to work on just that until it's done. I'd highly recommend giving yourself breaks because it really does make you excited to come back to it and not like, it kind of keeps you from having negative feelings about your piece of work because you're not, getting bored and frustrated. I think it looks so cool now with all of the extra stuff, like it's starting to fill out, yay! You can also already tell a difference in the weight. Like when I picked it up at the end, when it had all of them on there, I was like, oh yeah, it's getting heavier. And actually, the felt tiles being on here is making the skirt stand out a little bit more. I think at the very end, when I'm ever like taking photos or showing this off for the final time, I will probably layer another petticoat under here to make it actually stand out as far as possible and be like as smooth as possible. But now that I undid the entire hemline, I had an idea. Before I sew that back on at the end, I'm gonna put horsehair in there, which should also help the hemline stand out a little bit more, even if it doesn't have that second petticoat. And right now it's all just being held up with pins, so if you could see a little glint of silver, that's why. But yeah, I think that'll kind of help with it. Just showing off all of the parts of it and not getting lost in a fold, you know? Y'all, I was watching so much Jeopardy while working on this time. They put like most but not all of Ken Jennings' original run up on Hulu. So there was one time Matt was out and he texted me and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, embroidering, watching Jeopardy, and drinking tea. It's a good time. And speaking of good times, it's finally puzzle time. Y'all, I'm so excited to do a puzzle. I'm very much looking forward to this. And I have acquired more puzzles while I was working on this. So now I gotta decide which one I'm gonna do. Also, it's just like a very dreary, gloomy day outside. So, perfect time for puzzles. I'm acting like I have a plan. I don't have a plan. Fuzzies, fuzzies, fuzzies. I almost died. Hi, baby. That is so much galloping around.
Are you galloping?
Sup?